on and bring on board Rupinder Singh, MD and CEO at India Shelter Finance Corporation, joining in with us this morning. Thank you so much, sir, for joining in with us this morning on ET Now. And Mr. Singh, when you're looking at it in terms of overall the numbers of the company, what we're seeing is obviously this is the first result post your listing as well. We're seeing profits seeing a growth of 55%. AUMs have seen a growth of 42% as well on a year-on-year basis as well. So a strong number that has come in for the first time that you're reporting numbers post listing. AUM growth, let's start with that, right? 40% in the past as well is what we're seeing around that mark. What is your outlook from here on in terms of when you look at the AUM growth? Where do we see the trajectory? And now that the government is focusing a bit more in terms of the affordable housing as well, do you think that is something that a momentum we could see an improvement going forward in this number as well?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for calling me on a show. Yes, if you say, even 10 years of trajectory of the company, since India Shelter Finance Corporation is in business from last 13 years. In fact, last 10 years, our yield growth has been sustainable with a rate of 40% plus in that terms. And last few years are really good for affordable housing sector, particularly because there's a demand which is coming in the sector. And there's a lot of impetus focus from the government side also. Multiple schemes came in past and expected to come in future also. So those are the important, pertinent things which are supporting the sector particularly. Since we are present to 15 states and we have this synergies around to take it to the next level of business. So the business is pouring, and there's not a problem on the ground per se. So I think with the kind of focus which government had, we can see that there's a consistent growth can come up. As such, we generally don't like to give a guidance, but I think at any given time, next few years looks 30-35% of growth.
5% of growth for the next 3 years is what one could see. So what I want to also see and what I'm actually seeing in our numbers is that obviously there's a marginal uptick that we have seen in the NPAs, GNPA and NPA. And obviously I get the nature of the business and that could see a bit of an up and down sometimes. But, do you think there is any stress building in on the book, or, this was just one of those cases, a bit of a marginal uptick is a one-off case kind of a situation?
So if you see year on year, there's a drastic drop in the NPA numbers. So last year the same time and what we are today, there's almost 100 bits drop in the NPA number per se. And if we see even the March number, which is generally wonderful numbers for any financial sector services around that side, even there's a gap of not more than 7-8 bits. So this is a seasonal effect here and there which comes around. So I don't see this much of impact on ground or things around that piece. And things look pretty bullish around, on those numbers also, incoming times also seen on that side.
So let's move on and talk about cost of funds, right? Because that's quite interesting there as well. And this is despite that upward pressure in terms of lending rates in FY24. You've managed to stay. Your lending rates have been quite stable. The cost of funds have been quite stable on that front. I beg your pardon. So do you think this is sustainable going forward as well? And if it is, if there's an increase, how long will it take for the company to adjust this lending rates to preserve the profits then?
So we were able to control the cost of fund thanks to, having a large set of bankers who we keep continuing to engage, as well as NHB funding, which is also helpful. Typically this particular sector of affordable housing that is helping around that side. As of now, though there is no indication of going up cost of fund, though there is a multiple discussion of it being a stable or maybe coming down. So I don't think there is a scope of we can expect any further rate increase as we are hearing, listening from the regulation side also. So even if there is a slight here and there, we think we have a capacity to absorb that we have showcased in the last year or last 3-4 quarters. So I think we are not worried to that extent about it. So more important is a focus on the execution side that we are driving around.
Right, and lastly, sir, in terms of the return on assets, that's at 4.7%. When we had seen it last quarter, that was at around 5%. So slightly below that level for 5% mark. Could we expect that 5+% level coming back again anytime soon?
Normally, our business runs around 4% of ROAs. So even last couple of quarters were good enough to provide these ROAs, what we are delivering around 4.7 and around that piece. But in long term, what we feel, this is a sustainable business where the ROAs can be anywhere between around 4-5 bps here and there, basically.
Okay, sir. Thank you so much for joining in with us this morning on ET Now. That was Rupinder Singh, management of India Shelter Finance Corporation, talking to us about their numbers. As of now, stock a bit subdued in